Sharon Lokedi. She set the Boston Marathon course record last year. She was the favorite coming back to defend it. 20 minutes into the bus ride to the start line, she looked down at her wrist. Her watch was back in the hotel room. She was about to run 26 miles to defend a world record, without knowing her own pace. Before you understand what happened on Boylston Street on April 20th, 2026, you need to understand who Sharon Lokedi actually is, because her story does not start with marathons. It starts with a girl in Kenya, winning school track races and catching the eye of an American university. Lokedi was born on March 10th, 1994, in Kenya. She was recruited to the University of Kansas, where she studied nursing and business while becoming one of the most decorated collegiate runners in America. She earned 10 All-American honors and 12 Big 12 conference titles. She won the NCAA Division I 10,000-meter championship in 2018. Then, she turned professional. And in November 2022, on her very first marathon attempt, she won the New York City Marathon. No warm-up race, no build-up. First marathon, first world major, first win. That time, 2:23:23 announced her as a name the distance running world needed to remember. But Boston was still waiting. April 2025, the 129th Boston Marathon. Lokedi lined up against two-time defending champion Hellen Obiri, one of the most complete distance runners of her generation. The race came down to the final mile on Boylston Street, and this time it was Obiri who faded. Lokedi crossed the finish line in 2 hours, 17 minutes, and 22 seconds, 19 seconds clear of Obiri, and more than 2.5 minutes faster than the previous course record set by Buzunesh Deba in 2014. An 11-year-old record, erased in one afternoon. It was her second world major title. Her personal best at the half marathon distance sits at 1 hour, 5 minutes flat, set in September 2025. She is not just a marathon runner, she is a complete distance athlete capable of hurting you at every length. That 2025 Boston win put her in the conversation with the greatest women's marathon runners alive, and it made her the defending champion heading into April 2026 with a target on her back and a course record to defend. Hellen Obiri, the runner she had beaten a year earlier, chose to skip Boston in 2026 and run London instead. The field was still deep, but the pressure was entirely on Lokedi. The question going into this year's race was simple. Could she do it again? The 130th Boston Marathon. April 20th, 2026. Patriots Day in Massachusetts. The oldest annual marathon in the world, now in its 130th running. Over 30,000 runners registered. Temperatures at 45 degrees Fahrenheit at the start. A tailwind of up to 10 miles per hour pushed runners from Hopkinton toward Copley Square. Perfect marathon conditions. Lokedi boarded the bus to the starting line in Hopkinton 20 minutes into the ride. She reached for her wrist. Nothing. Her Garmin watch was still sitting on its charger in her hotel room. Her coach, Stephen Haas, scrambled to find a replacement. He had an Apple Watch. That would not work. Lokedi is a Garmin-sponsored athlete. Another coach nearby had a different brand. No good. Then a helpful fellow runner standing right there at the starting line pulled off his own watch. It happened to be a Garmin model Lokedi had trained with before. Crisis, narrowly avoided. She strapped on a stranger's watch, adjusted the settings, and focused. That borrowed watch would go on to record some of the most impressive mile splits in Boston Marathon history. For the first 20 miles, Lokedi ran with the pack. Patient. Controlled. An 18-woman lead group moved through mile 14 at a 5:23 per mile pace. Lokedi was in the middle of it, not pushing, not chasing, watching, waiting. By the 30-kilometer mark, the Newton Hills were starting to shred the field. The group of 18 had been cut down to 9. 2 Americans, Annie Frisbee and Jess McLean, were still holding on alongside Lokedi and fellow Kenyans Lois Kemnung, Irene Cheptai, Mercy Chelangat, and Mary Ngugi Cooper. The race had not exploded yet, but it was about to. Remember that borrowed watch, the one she did not quite trust, the one she kept glancing at and could not fully interpret. She knew she was going fast. She just did not know how fast. "I knew I was going fast," Lokedi said after the race. "I just didn't know how fast I was going." Mile 22. The moment that left everyone speechless. And this is where the title of this video earns every word. Lokedi had Chemnung on her shoulder with a little over 4 miles left. They had pushed together through the Newton Hills, and now it was the two of them. One would break. With the crowd screaming around her, Lokedi heard something cut through the noise. A child's voice somewhere in the crowd. "You got this, ladies!" That was the moment she decided to go. She ran mile 22 in 4 minutes and 41 seconds, nearly 30 seconds faster than any other mile she had run in the entire race. That single mile was 6 seconds faster than the outdoor 5,000-meter NCAA record broken just 3 days earlier in a track race. She ran 26.2 miles of marathon, hit mile 22, and produced a track split. Chemnung could not hold on. By mile 23, Lokedi had 8 seconds on her. The race was over. She then ran mile 23 in 4:48 and mile 24 in 4:35. 3 consecutive miles under 5 minutes in the final stretch of a marathon. The 5-kilometer stretch from miles 22 to 24 came out to 14 minutes and 48 seconds. Almost 30 seconds faster than Lokedi's own personal best for the 5,000 meters on the track. She peeled off her arm sleeves. She threw them to the side. She ran alone into downtown Boston, the crowd packing Boylston Street from end to end, screaming her first name back at her. Just Sharon. That is all her bib said this year, a privilege reserved only for past champions. Sharon Lokedi crossed the finish line in 2 hours, 18 minutes, and 51 seconds. The 4th fastest women's time in the entire 130-year history of the Boston Marathon. She finished 44 seconds ahead of Lois Chemnung in 2nd place, 2:19:35. Mary Ngugi Cooper took 3rd in 2 hours 20 minutes and 7 seconds. Mercy Chelangat came 4th. Kenya swept the entire women's podium and then some. The win made her a 2-time Boston Marathon champion. Combined with her 2022 New York City Marathon title, she now holds 3 world major victories. She is just the 18th Kenyan woman ever to win in Boston. And she did all of it with a stranger's watch on her wrist, not knowing her own pace for the most important miles of the race. "I left it all out there," Lokedi said. "That is all I can say." While Lokedi was rewriting her own legacy, an American runner was making history behind her. Jess McLean finished 5th in 2 hours, 20 minutes, and 49 seconds. That time broke Shalane Flanagan's American course record at Boston, which had stood at 2 hours, 22 minutes, and 2 seconds since 2014. A 12-year-old American record gone.